Hello and welcome to the stream. I don't know if you can hear me there. There we go. I thought I hadn't got it switched on for a moment. Hi, Michael. Great to see you. And hope you will find the solution to what you're asking for when I make my other video. I'll send you another little video about it though anyway. So what am I going to cover in this live stream? Well, I thought I would cover the sort of time that I spend on my YouTube channel and growing the YouTube channel, and exactly where I'm spending that time, because I do get asked by a lot of people how much time I'm spending on it, because I've been putting out a few videos recently. I suppose people may have noticed. So that is what the plan is for today, to basically cover where I'm spending my time, and then also I'll talk about exactly where I need to be spending more of my time as well, because there are a few things that I think I've probably been neglecting a little bit in terms of the sort of management of the channel, really. So before I do that, I thought I'd just give a little bit of an update of where we're up to, because I set myself the goal when I started this channel 6 weeks ago today, by the way, was my first live stream, my first video on YouTube. So we're on day 43, and I set myself the goal of hitting 100 videos by 100 days. So at the moment, this will be my 48th video, so I've sort of got five in hand, if you like. So technically I could probably take 5 days off and still hit my target, but I won't do that though. I think people are getting used to my daily videos. So the thing is, I made these made extra videos, more than I had planned to do, and I think what I probably should have done is just queued them up and have them scheduled to go out, you know, much later, so that I've always got a few in hand. But the trouble is, whenever I make them, I always think of people who may be actually wanting the information, so I think, oh, I'll just put it out anyway. So sometimes I'll make 2 or 3 at a time. I don't usually put them out at exactly the same time, and in that case I'll just schedule one for maybe 12 hours later or something like that, so that they do still go out. But yeah, I think it's better to just get them out there for people who might need them. So that is where we're up to in terms of my progress so far towards my goal. I'm up to 118 subscribers, although I'm not really looking at these stats too much in terms of, I don't give them a huge amount of weight, but it is just nice to see that the numbers are still slowly creeping up, and people haven't got bored of me and started to unsubscribe. So yeah, so I thought, as I say, I would just have a look at sort of where I am spending my time, and a little bit about my routine and how I make the videos. I think I've covered it really in a lot of my other videos, but yeah, just go through the process, because oh, hey Sammy, it's great to see you here. Let me just get these things. There was somebody posted in the Ecam Live beta group about one feature that would be good would be to have the comments being pre-sized or sized differently depending on which scene you're in, and I think that would be a good idea, because I always find myself not quite knowing where they're going to be, and then I resize them, and then if I go to a different scene, it's in the maybe in the wrong place. So I think that might be a great idea. But anyway, I digress. Great to see you here, Sammy. So yeah, I'm just talking about the process that I have with making my YouTube channel, and excuse me, getting a dry mouth already, only a couple of minutes in. And yeah, where I spend my time on it basically, and how I sort of manage it. So as I said, I've said in many other videos about the sort of way that I make these, my normal videos, my usual recorded videos, is I don't really do a great deal of planning. Yes, it was indeed. That's right. That's who it was. So yes, I don't do a great deal of planning for my actual videos, except that obviously I have a list of ideas for videos, and I capture those in a program called OmniFocus. I'm a big proponent of David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology for task management, and yeah, as far as I'm concerned, task management was solved when David Allen created the GTD system. And OmniFocus is a program by the Omni Group for the Mac, which is basically based around the GTD system. And I'll probably do a video on it at some point, because it's one of the Mac apps that I use most. And in fact, when I started the channel, I think I'd got visions of making videos about all sorts of different applications on the Mac, and I will get around to that. But I just noticed that recently I've been quite quite Ecam Live heavy, shall we say. That seems to be the main focus of my videos. It's not really intentional. That isn't what I set out to do with the channel. It was more intended to be about the Mac apps that I like and the ones that I use for productivity. It just seems that I've been using Ecam Live a lot recently, and it's an application that I'm really, really loving. I think it's yeah, they've done a great job with the application, and it's one of those ones that I find really sort of delights me to use it. So those videos about Ecam Live seem to have floated to the top of the pile. But I do have videos on other things coming, I promise. And so I capture all of those, like when I think about them. I've got the OmniFocus app on my phone, and I just quickly capture them and they go into a long list. And then what I do is I just come and sit down in the morning and have a look through the list and pick one out. And I've got them sort of roughly prioritized, but yeah, that's the way that I do that. And as I've said many times, I do these videos at 4 o'clock in the morning because I get up at about 3 o'clock normally. I was up a bit earlier today, a bit keen today, but yeah, I normally get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then the sort of after my meditation and journaling practice, then yeah, my video time, if you like, or my YouTube time is between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning, before my kids get up and before I actually start my proper work. So technically, in terms of how much time do I spend on YouTube, I suppose the official answer would be 2 hours, because it's the time that it's basically my learning time. It's the time that I always used to spend either reading a book or learning a new skill or something like that. Those 2 hours was my quiet time to do those sorts of things in the morning. But I find that doing these videos is very sort of stimulating in that respect, because I'm still learning all the time as I'm going along doing these, and there's often things and problems that I need to solve, and so it's certainly not a perfect workflow for me yet, so there's always new things that I'm trying to learn or figure out, and so yes, that 2 hours is still my learning time. It just happens to be when I'm also making videos as well. So that is the official answer, is it takes 2 hours. So I will run through the sort of process that I go through in terms of making the videos, but I should say that I don't only spend 2 hours a day on it, because when I sat down to make this think about this live stream, incidentally, I said that I don't plan my videos. So my normal videos, as I say, I just have a list in OmniFocus and I go and pick one, and then I just pretty much go and do it. There might be a bit of preparation involved, like I did one yesterday about building out, putting motion graphics behind overlays with using Pexels, the free video download service, or stock video service rather. So with that one, there was a bit of preparation, because I had to go and actually just grab download a video from there, and then I made a couple of quick borders in Keynote. So there was a bit of preparation in terms of me getting that set up, but I don't ever plan the videos out. I don't ever have a script or anything like that for the recorded ones. However, for my live streams, I do always have some notes. I always think about what I want to cover on the live stream, because I see these as a bit more sort of free-flowing, and I think it would be easy for me to veer off and not cover the things that I wanted to cover in the live stream if I didn't make some notes. So I do kind of think about these, and I probably plan, yeah, definitely more for the live streams than I do for the recorded ones. But anyway, that was a bit of a digression. Again, this is the problem, you see. I will always go off on on tangents if left unchecked. So yeah, that 2 hours is when I record the videos. But so in sitting down to plan this live stream, I did actually start to think about, like, well, where actually am I spending my time and what am I spending it on? And whilst I do only spend 2 hours in the morning, sort of focus time on my YouTube, it has turned into something which is taking over. I don't mean taking over in a negative sense. It's something that's taking over more of my time through the rest of the day as well, in terms of just mind space. It's something that I'm really enjoying doing more than I had anticipated, because the whole point about me starting this channel was for me to actually get over my perfectionist nature and actually just release stuff. And so the whole point about doing 100 videos in 100 days is to just really try and practice this process of being able to sit down and record a video, and you know, with a tutorial video, a lesson or something like that, and do it in one take without any filler words, pauses and things like that. So I'm getting slowly better. I did actually, thinking about this topic, this channel, this live stream today, I did go back and watch my first video, which I did obviously 43 days ago, whatever it was, my first video. And I certainly have improved a little bit, but I've still got a long way to go, because I do get nice comments from people saying that they like the videos that I'm making and the flow of them, and say that it's got quite a nice sort of relaxed pace to it and so on. But for me, there's still a long way to go for to get to the level that I want to be at in terms of the quality of the videos. I'm trying as hard as possible to remove filler words, so getting rid of ums and ahs and things like that. But we'll see how I get along with that. Incidentally, you may notice that there are a lot of pauses in my videos, and those are basically me sort of mentally taking out the ums and ers. So every time I seem to make a big pause between my words, it's basically, yes, me just trying to self-edit myself as I go along. But so, yes, you see, I'm losing my train of thought already if I don't have my my notes. So what do I actually spend the time on outside of my normal thing? Well, it's things like, I'm a part of the Ecam Live community, and that's something that when I started making these videos, everything up until my first video I did without the Ecam Live community. I downloaded the software, I played around with it, I figured out how to do everything my way, which isn't always the best way, by the way. And so yeah, I spent all the time getting everything ready, as I covered it in my last live stream, which was all about things I did to prepare for the launch of the channel. I went and created all my graphic overlays, all those sorts of things, all the things I've talked about before. And then the first video I did was 6 weeks ago today, and it was basically the day after was the first time that I went to Doc Rock's office hours. I joined up to that after the first video, and then, or just before the first video, but it was actually the office hours was the Sunday following my first video. And then after that, I joined the Ecam Live community, and that has been really a sort of breath of fresh air, really. And yeah, something that I wasn't expecting. I made a video about it, and I felt a bit bad afterwards for the video, because what I said in the video and in the title of the video was something like the best hidden feature of Ecam Live that you won't find on the spec sheets or something. And I felt a bit bad afterwards. I felt like maybe it was a little bit sort of clickbait. It wasn't intended like that. It was more intended as a sort of, tongue-in-cheek sort of way of saying that it is my favourite feature, and it really is. But yeah, I felt afterwards maybe I've been a bit misleading in the title. So, but there you go. Can't get everything right, can we? So yeah, it is. It's a great community to be a part of, because obviously you get lots of little nuggets of information, and you learn from other people's questions as well. There was somebody in Doc's group last week who had asked about how to use Tubebuddy to do searches or to do research for tags. And I do use Tubebuddy, and I use some of the features in it, but this was something that I wasn't really using. And so because of the question that somebody else had asked, I found out something that I didn't know. So it's great that you can learn from others, and also sort of learn from other questions that people ask as well. So I'll come on to Tubebuddy when I go through my process a little bit later and show you what I'm talking about, because it's quite a good little feature. So I do spend some time in the Ecam Live Facebook group, and that obviously takes some time, and it's time that isn't included in my 2 hours a day that I actually spend, allocated time in the morning, just being a part of that community and following what other people are doing, and helping out if I can help out with people's questions, but then also asking questions myself as well. So it's hard to quantify exactly how much time goes on that, but probably over the course of a day, I'm guessing probably another half hour or something like that, actually spending catching up with other people. And then, of course, I've got office hours on Sunday with Doc Rock, and last week that was 3 hours. So yeah, I would say probably about 3 hours a day, something like that. 2 in the morning, and then 1, maybe half an hour here and there, maybe lunchtime, something like that. So yes, it certainly does add up. And I've said on my other videos that, yeah, I just sit down and record them and it's done and that's it. Well, if I'm doing a half-hour video, it's not quite half an hour because of all these other things. But coming back to the actual time I spend on the videos themselves, that 2 hours, and what I'm doing, what I thought I'd do is just run through exactly what is involved with them. Because, like I say, I don't do any sort of forward planning for the videos as such. However, as I say, like the example yesterday, I did have to sit down and just make a couple of quick overlays. And then I have to obviously record the videos. They are one-take videos generally. Occasionally there'll be something that I have to do to edit out, and I really curse it if I have to do that. Like, for example, there's, I don't know, some interruption, some emergency call comes through, or somebody comes into the room or something like that, that I have to stop the recording and start again, or just, you know, carry on but clip it out afterwards. And I generally don't like to have to do that. And in fact, on occasion, if I've been sort of fairly soon into the video, when I get some sort of disturbance or interruption, then I'll often just go and start again, because it's easier for me to start again and just film it all in one take. I feel it has a better flow to it than if I think I've got to go back and edit it afterwards. I'm trying to avoid editing at all costs. Yeah, that is the first step, obviously, is to make the video. And then I have to go and make my thumbnails. Now, thumbnails are a thing that are a bit of a sticking point in my mind. I'm not really sure about thumbnails at all. I've got obviously a particular look and style to mine, but I'm not really happy with it. But at the end of the day, that is part of the whole problem, the whole process with this video, this channel, is that I'm actually not happy with most of it. There's things of it that I am happy with, but there's lots of rooms for improvement. It's not like I sit awake, you know, worrying about it or lose sleep over it or anything like that. But there are certainly areas where if this was a sort of formal work production or something like that, then I would need to up the game a little bit. And thumbnails is one of those things where I really feel like I need to do something a little bit better with them. But they were just something that I thought, well, I need to have something that is reasonable and get that consistent from the outset. And at some point, what I'll do is I'll probably, when I get to my 100 videos, I'll just sort of take a step back from the overall picture of everything and the look and feel, and then see what tweaks I want to make to it then, rather than just sort of fiddling with it all the time as I go through. And incidentally, my thumbnails I make in Photoshop, which isn't really the best application to do it in. It's just, as is the case with a lot of the things that I'm doing with this channel, it's just a case of finding something that works in a relatively frictionless way for me, so that I can do it with the minimum of effort. And at some point, I will probably look at other options. I did a 1 hour challenge to sort of make a video in 1 hour, starting with a fresh sort of Ecam install, if you like, or like basically no scene setup, and went through the process of setting up all the scenes and making the thumbnail and everything like that within an hour. And one of the things that I did for that, to sort of make it a little bit more difficult, because the thumbnails, I've got a template in Photoshop, which I'll show you afterwards actually. But yeah, I decided to try Canva out, because Canva is looks like quite a good package. I haven't used it extensively. In fact, I haven't really used it since that little 1 hour challenge thing that I did. But I will look at it again, because people who I respect, namely Mr. Rock, who is also kind of an Adobe guy. So I have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription for work and general use. But I think I need to have another look at Canva, because it does seem quite powerful in what it can do, and so I think it's worth looking at. But I use Photoshop. In fact, maybe I can just show you. And unfortunately, I've got quite a shocking thumbnail up, which is the one that I did yesterday. It always opens with the last thumbnail I've got. I don't actually save the Photoshop files for each one. I literally just export it as an image, and it's done then. So what I did was all of these ridiculous pictures that I've got. And by the way, I would love to get some feedback on my thumbnails in general. And when I say feedback, I mean a scathing critique of everything I'm doing wrong with them at some point. But yeah, when I started the channel, one of the things that I did to prepare for this was just to get some, obviously the template for the thumbnail, But then I also just sat down in front of this very camera and just clicked off a load of pictures with the green screen behind, just making really rather ridiculous faces, aren't they? I mean, come on, what's that supposed to be? But the reason was I'd read somewhere and I'd watched some videos about making videos, funnily enough, and they talked about the having a person in the thumbnail is something that improves click rate. I'm not sure that having me in the thumbnail improves click rate, but having an actual human in the picture is supposed to be good. And the other thing was, when I actually named my channel, I called it Take One Tech. But I find that when I'm looking through channels myself, I tend to have a better connection with channels where they actually have the name of the person in the channel name itself. So I'm thinking about people like Doc Rock, Alicia Way, Tom Buck, all of these sorts of people. You have more of a connection, I think, when you can see the name of the person. Whereas there's another one called Think Media, and they've got great content, and although it's technically, I mean, it started as one person, I don't have the same sort of connection with that channel as I do with the ones with the person's name in it somehow. So that is why also I put my name on the thumbnail usually, although this one doesn't. And that's why I have my picture on it, I suppose. So it's to help build that sort of brand and people get familiar with like who it is. And so that was my thought process behind that. There's also a school of thought and a bit of a science behind these thumbnails, and people say that these sorts of expressions, like the one I've got on my face here, which looks ridiculous, and my daughter kills herself every time she sees one of these, why is daddy acting silly, is what she says, it's that these actually improve click-through rates. And so it is something that I did, and I always feel a little bit uncomfortable about them because, well, I'm actually quite an introvert. You might not guess it by the number of videos I'm producing, but I am quite an introvert and a little bit self-conscious about these sorts of things. So yeah, I don't actually feel good about having all of these ridiculous pictures of myself all over YouTube. But there you go. Such is life. That is what we've got. So the way that I did this, as I say, is I just took a load of shots and then I've got them in here just in a folder. And this is basically a lesson in how not to use Photoshop, because it's not really meant for this. I should really be using something like Illustrator or InDesign or something like that out of the Adobe suite if I was going to use Adobe. But I do have, yeah, if I just take this layer off, whoops, my little pop-up, I don't want that there, thank you. 1 second. See, I've got all these little things. I haven't even labeled. That was the one I did the other day. I've got all these things on, but I haven't even actually labeled them. So let me just take this one off. So normally I have these sort of banners at the sort of top and bottom, and I can basically just toggle those on and off. So I have one up here at the top, and then I've got that one down there. And then depending on what the subject matter is, I can switch out these. So I've got one for Ecam Live. I've got one for Stream Deck. I've got one for my live streams. So these are the way that I sort of add these to the template. Although usually Ecam Live is the one that's sitting there at the top. I normally have my logo in the bottom corner, and then I normally have some text, something like that. So that is another one that I did. And then all of these pictures, I've just got a whole series of these ridiculous pictures of me. And so I just select the ones that I've got. I've got them kind of grouped by what they are, whether they're sort of forward facing, pointing to the side, all those sorts of things. And so I can just toggle them all on and off. So it's really easy for me to just quickly come in here, click into the text, edit the text, and then change the picture from one ridiculous picture to another. And then I can just export those to a PNG file, and then those are ready to upload to my YouTube. So that's how quickly I do the thumbnails. I don't give them a huge amount of thought. The one thing I do think, obviously, is how many words are on the screen. So we don't want to have long stories or text, huge amounts of text on the screen. I try and keep it to basically 4 or 5 words, and ideally 3 lines really, but this one was a bit long, it wouldn't fit, so 4 lines there. But yeah, just having something sort of big and bold and attention grabbing is what the aim is of that. So once I've exported that, then I go into YouTube. So I've got my video, and then I've got my thumbnail now. So now I upload it to YouTube. And when I upload it to YouTube, there's a couple of things which I should be doing, but I don't do straight away, and I'll show you why. Where is my YouTube gone? I had it here open a minute ago. It is, oh, there it is. So in YouTube Studio, when I go and upload a video, let me have a look. Where's it gone? There we go, content. So when I upload a video, and obviously I've done a video about how to do this, but when I upload a video, then I obviously put the video in, and I put the thumbnail in, and then I go and add a description, and then the end cards as well, that I add that in, and obviously the tags. But there's a couple of things here which I don't do immediately, and I've also really got a little bit behind in terms of not catching up with things. So one of those is adding the chapters, and in case you aren't familiar with chapters, they are, in fact, I've got a little example here. See, look at this, I've done a bit of preparation. I've opened up a video. If you have a look in the timeline, you can see that there are these markers, and this says introduction, and if I move to the next one, it tells you at the bottom, it's got those little titles, and there's little sort of markers on the timeline to show you what they are. Well, those are called chapters, and they're actually really, really easy to add in. And if I go to that video, by the way, that was my first recorded video that I just showed you. That was my review of the Shure MV7. And I'll just go back to that one because I do know that has got chapter markers in. That was when I was being a good boy and doing all of these little things that I should be doing all of the time. But if I come down to here and go to the Shure MV7 review, then what you can see in the description is, when it loads up, that at the bottom what I've got is this list of timestamps, and all you have to do to add in those chapters in YouTube is just to add in these little timestamps and then the title of the particular section that you want, this particular chapter. And this is a good way to add to your search engine optimization. And you may have noticed when you've done a search for something on YouTube before, and then, on Google, I should say, before, and you're searching for a particular topic, and then it comes up with a video with a pre-selected part of that video. Well, that's because of chapters, and so the things that you put in these chapter markers are really good for SEO because Google does find them, and if somebody is searching, for example, for Audio Hijack Pro, for example, then it would just bring up 8 minutes 55 in this particular video. So as you can see, it's really simple to add them in. The only problem is I don't ever know where my chapter markers need to go because I don't write them down as I'm going through on the video that I'm making. So I have to go back after the fact and watch the video. And I just haven't quite got into the habit of doing this as a matter of course, like actually whenever I make a video, because sometimes you have to wait for the processing to finish. So you'll go in, you'll add in a video, add in the end screen, add in the description, and add in tags, and it will say processing. A video will be available shortly. And if I'm just in a rush or doing something else, which I usually am, then I just click OK and wait for the video to upload. And then I haven't actually gone back in afterwards and actually updated that. And that's the same with the end cards. Not the end cards, sorry, the cards that you have. So when somebody says, I'll leave a link up in the top corner, and I often say that, and then I'm sure there's people thinking, well, where's the link? It's not there. Well, I have to go in and add that in after the fact, and that is why, that is where you do it. You do it with this cards section. And so if I come into here, it's the same thing. What you need to do is you need to know where the timestamp is. You need to know where the card needs to go. So here you can see I've actually only got one in here. And this is a link back to another video I've done, and it is at 8 minutes 55. So I need to go through and watch all of my videos again and talk about and figure out exactly where they're going to go and go back and add them in. But yeah, I'm a little bit lax on that one as well, I'm afraid. So, and by the way, if anybody has got any questions about anything that I'm doing or anything that I do as part of my workflow, then do let me know. So if I just come back out of this one. So yeah, after I've uploaded my video, I I do need to come back in to do that, and as I say, I've not been doing that. And then also I go in and have a look at my tags. Now, up until now, I've just been basically using some of the built-in Tubebuddy features within the tag field down here. So if I type in something here, for example, I'll just type MV7, then Tubebuddy is really good at just bringing up a list of, not MVY, that should be MV7, should get some different ones there. So you can see how it comes up with a list of tags just in the as you start typing. In fact, it looks like I haven't got MV7 review in that MV7 review. Well, that just goes to show it was my first video, and I obviously wasn't quite on the ball with it. So I'll just add that in, and you can just clearly click on it rather, and add that into your tag list. The other way you can have a look at tags is in this one. So you can see that there I'm actually exactly up to you get 500 characters that you can use with your tags, and I'm up to 500 already. But if I wanted to add more in, you can come down to this tag browser. This, by the way, is a feature of Tubebuddy that I'm talking about, not actually built in with YouTube. So I should probably just mention that if you're not using Tubebuddy already, it is a great way to have a little bit of extra coaching and help when you're uploading your videos, if you're bothered about getting them absolutely as good as they can be in terms of tags and things like that. And you can get a free trial by going to take1tech.io/Tubebuddy. And yeah, it's, I believe, for the standard account, which is what I've got, it's $8 a month, but it's half price if you've got less than 1,000 subscribers, which we all know I have at the moment. So $4 a month, it just really helps me out with my my tags and my channel planning at the end of the day. So, but anyway, I'll come back to this. And yeah, in Tubebuddy here, you can see that it just automatically recommends tags, but then you can change it by the relevance. So it will find tags that are relevant to your video based on your description and so on, and your other keywords, or you can search it by specifically keyword score. So every keyword they give a little score. So this one, podcast equipment bundle would be a high ranking one. Although to be honest, it's not quite as relevant because I'm not talking about a bundle as such in this MV7 review that this video is about. But that is just another way you can look at the tags. And the other thing you can look for is search traffic, because obviously there's no point having a great tag that nobody's actually looking for. So you can rank them by that as well. So I tend to have a flick through each of those just to see which ones are coming up. But Tubebuddy does actually also have another great feature. And this is the one that I mentioned from earlier on, which was something that I learned about, and I knew about it, but I wasn't using it properly. And so I learned to try and use it in a better way than I am doing from the office hours with Doc on Saturdays or my Sunday mornings. And that's something in here called Keyword Explorer. So again, sorry, this is a Tubebuddy thing if you're not using Tubebuddy, but still, I'm just showing you this is part of my process that I'm trying to incorporate these days. So here you can just paste in your title, for example, and then click on Explore. And what it'll do is it will sort of give you a little bit of a score for the video title once it's thought about it. So you can see here that it is basically saying that this is a good title. It's not great. It's not bad, but it's just good. And it's based on these different factors. So one of them is search volume. So at the moment, the search volume for this is quite poor, quite low. But the competition is good in terms of this is, if you have a high score, it means that you're more likely to be found. And the optimization strength, just have to double check exactly what that is. The rankings for the videos. Now you can choose between unweighted, which is just generally how does this keyword perform, or you can choose weighted, which is basically how it is specifically for your channel. And so for that, it looks at things like the competition. You see how before the competition there was a green mark, whereas if we look at it weighted, then the competition is lower. And that is because if you look at channels that are other channels similar to mine, how they compare, and obviously there's a lot more popular channels than mine out there, and they're a lot bigger with more subscribers and more content, and maybe more relevant content to this as well. So it's actually not a great title for me, but there you go. This is, again, as I say, my first one, so I'll forgive myself for that. But you can also come in here and then also look at common tags that are related to this, and this is a great way to go through, and you can see they have been sorted by given a sort of a score, if you like. And what you can do is you can click on tags here that you want to add into your video, and then you can come and copy that to the clipboard. The other thing that you can do is, because as I mentioned there is a limit on the length of tags that you can have, or the number of characters in your total number of tags, then what you can do here is you can also say select all of them up to the tag limit. So if you've got a good title and you've spent some time crafting it, then in fact this one, I tell you what I should have done with that title, and I need to go back and correct that. I wonder if it makes a difference if I put the MV and the 7 together. Let's have a look, shall we? See if that makes any difference whatsoever. Because technically there is no space in it. It's having a little think about it. It's marginally better. And it is correct if it doesn't have a space, so I'll have to go back and correct that one. But yeah, you can basically say, well, I want to get all of the tags that are up to that tag limit. So if I click on that one, then you can see how it's just highlighted all of the ones up to that 500 character tag limit. And then you can copy those and paste those into your tag cloud, if you like, your tag area. So that is something which, as I say, I wasn't actually using it before, but I've started using it a bit more now, and it shows you, which are the good parts of the title and so on. And then you can also see the top ranking channel in search, and look at that. Who would have guessed it? Mr. Tom Buck. He owns 2 of the 20 search results. So well played, Mr. Tom Buck. You're a master. And by the way, when I talk about my thumbnails, I always think about Tom Buck because he has got the best thumbnails in the business, in my mind. They are interesting, they are eye-catching, and they are unique, and have really got a sort of flair to them that a lot of people are lacking in theirs. And he did do a video about it, which I've mentioned before. I will link in the description to it afterwards, to his video that he did about making thumbnails and how he makes them. And it is it's a real artist at work, to be honest. And he talked about some people saying that you should spend as much time making your thumbnail as you do making your video. I hardly spend any time on my video, so I should probably spend more time on my thumbnails than my video. And I guess when I have a bit more time, or when I allocate a bit more time to the thumbnails, that's what I'll do. At the moment, as I say, I'm making a video a day for the first 100 days, but at some point in the future, I can envisage maybe dropping that down to maybe 1 every 2 days or something. So perhaps I could spend one morning making my video and the next morning making the thumbnail for that video, and so then I could come up with something a little bit more imaginative and creative, like Tom's. But yeah, he's great, and so's his channel and his videos, so that's well deserved that he's got 2 of the top 20 search results for this. But yeah, so Tubebuddy is just a really great little thing to use and help with the keywords searches and the crafting the titles. Basically, I'll just come in here and take this space out while I'm here, because that isn't quite right. It shouldn't have a space in it. So at some point, another thing that I need to allocate some time to is I need to basically go back. I think probably maybe 70% of my videos don't have chapter markers in them. So in terms of search engine optimization, they are certainly not optimized as yet. But then again, it comes back to the thing of I'm not entirely driven by results or anything like that. So it's just a case of, I'm just going through my process, and at some point I'll come back to it. I think I find as well, I'm sure a lot of people are like this, the things that you enjoy most are the things that seem to grab your time and attention whenever you've got time to spare. So it's always the making of the videos and things like that that is coming to the top of my time management agenda, and going back and watching videos of myself to find out where I need to put the timestamps is it's not something I relish at all. I don't like going back and watching myself on these videos. So but I've got to push myself to do it, and hopefully at some point in the future the channel will make enough money that I can actually pay for a virtual assistant somewhere to go and watch my videos for me and put in the channel marker so I don't have to watch myself back. But there you go. So that is something that I need to work on more, and that is probably, let me think, where have I got to? See, I do go off my train of thought when I do these lives, more so than when I do my videos. So planning for a live stream is something that I do spend time on. And yeah, going in and updating the info and so on for my videos. But then the other thing that is obviously managing the comments. Now, I don't really have that many comments, so it is always a joy to see those coming in and to go and yeah, you know, respond to those. And as I say, I'm not exactly getting inundated, so that is something that I enjoy about it, but it's something that I have to do nevertheless. And then another area where I spend time, I suppose, is actually thinking about other things to develop for the website as well, because I do intend to put other sort of free content on there, as well as you know, some other digital downloads that I've got to just get more prepared and finish. So one of the video series that I plan to do is more of a series of videos all about Stream Deck, because, as I say, Ecam Live has been the dominant subject on my channel of late, but also Stream Deck is something that I just, as you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, is something that I absolutely love. So I've got a whole series of videos that are queued up. I mean, in my list. I haven't made them yet, but a whole series of videos about Stream Deck and how I use it for different applications and things like that. And so I want to really sort of organize all of the icons that I've made. And so I've got icon packs for things like Microsoft Excel, not so much for Photoshop, because I'm more of I tend to have my hand on the keyboard for that. So, but I may make some Photoshop icons as well. I use OmniFocus, as I've said. That's a bit more niche, but I have a whole set of icons that I created for that. Although, if you use OmniFocus, then you might be familiar with perspectives and things like that in that. Well, oh, hi, Eileen. It's great to see you. So yeah, I'm just running through my process in terms of what I do, where I spend my time for to run my channel rather. But yeah, so the other thing that I want to spend some time on is just getting those icon packs just ready so that people can have them, because I do want to make them available so that when I demonstrate something, if people want to get them, then they can get them. There's also a couple of other things, like I mentioned on my last live stream, about that template pack that I had for social media, and it's basically a pack that shows you all about how to size your images correctly for social media, be it your header images for YouTube, Facebook, things like that. And so that is something else that I've got to actually I need to just do a few tweaks to that and remove my company branding, and I'll put on the Take One Tech branding so that it doesn't just look like an advert for my company, because I am trying to keep them quite separate. So that's just something I've got to get round to. So I've got quite a few little outstanding tasks and things that I need to actually do. But like I say, it's always the videos and things like that seem to pop to the front. So I need to work on that a little bit. And that is basically the time that I'm spending on my YouTube channel and where I'm spending it. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time sort of tweaking, as I've said, and I'll probably come back to everything in maybe after my 100 videos in 100 days. I'll probably take a little bit of a step back and get some feedback on how I can do things better, and then look to maybe not rebrand, but just sort of update things in terms of the look and feel of my my videos and my thumbnails and things like that. I'm not entirely happy with my overlays and things like that at the moment. They're okay, but there is a few things that I could do to tweak them, so I'll probably get around to that as well. But that about covers where I'm spending my time, and I've probably run a little bit short on this. But if anybody has got any questions about anything I'm doing in terms of my workflow, or any videos that I've made in terms of anything that wasn't clear on them, I've had a few people have commented or rather got in touch to ask about some of my videos that I've not covered everything in them. And it's certainly the case that when I make the videos, I often come away feeling like they could have been better, and I could have done things differently or covered some things in more detail. So I will always try and go back and correct those things when I can. But yeah, if anybody has got any comments or questions or anything they'd like me to cover, then I'll be happy to go through it on the stream. But if not, then it means that I can get on with making another video. So, in fact, I suppose one thing that I could cover is, because I do know that I've had one particular question just this morning that wasn't on the stream. So, Michael, what I thought I'll do is I will quickly show you in Keynote the way to... the question was, how do you add an overlay that you've created in Keynote and have it come into... oh, thanks, Eileen. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the question was, how do you create... if you've got some slides as overlays, transparent overlays in Keynote, how do you actually get them to come into your Ecam Live? Now, the next video that I'm going to make was actually already how to import your presentations from PowerPoint. I'm falling over my words again. Have some more coffee, Alec. How to get your slides from Keynote into Ecam Live. So perhaps I could just give you a little bit of a demonstration, because I know exactly what Michael was trying to do, and rather than wait for me to make my video, which I will make after this live stream anyway, because there are 3 ways that you can get slides from Keynote into Ecam Live. But what I'll show you is I'll just show you a way that you can get these little overlays in as slides. So what I want to do is I'm going to open a new Keynote presentation, and I'll share my screen. Right, so very quickly we're going to make a simple presentation, and I'll show you how to get this into Keynote, into Ecam Live. So what we're trying to create here is some little overlays that pop in from the side and then disappear again, but we can control the timings of them. So they're not pre-recorded videos, and they're also not static slides. So there's lots of ways that you can get static slides into a presentation, into Ecam Live rather, but we're not wanting to do that. We're specifically wanting to get some little animated overlays that come in from the side, and then we can wait till we've finished our little talk, whatever we're talking about, and then have them pop out again afterwards. So the way to do that is in Keynote. If I come into my document here and I'll change the slide master, I beg your pardon, in format, I'll change the slide master, and I'll change the blank slide at the bottom. The background I'll set to no fill, so it is a transparent background. In fact, that isn't what we want to do actually. I'll change the background so that it is a green background. I know that's cunning, isn't it? Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring this in using NDI, scan converter, and then we're going to key out the green. So rather than doing it as we would do with a movie where we want to have the transparent background, we're actually going to have a green background, and we're going to key it out in Ecam Live. So that is that, and then I'm going to select done, and then I'm going to add in a new slide. I could have actually just done this on the slide, but I always prefer to do it with the actual templates themselves, or with the slide masters rather. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to simulate something coming in from the side, and I'm going to make this, let's just make this say a black box with a white outline. I hope that this answers your question, Michael, but I'll do, because it will be more specific, but I'll do a full video on all the different ways you can bring slides from Keynote into Ecam Live in my video, which I'm going to make immediately after this. But let's say we've got this, we want to have a white border perhaps, just as an example, and then let's say we want to have some text on it. Hopefully this just demonstrates the point. My overlay. And put that there, center that. Make it a bit bigger, and then I'll come back over to here, drag this one down, and this is my great content. There we go. So the point about this is just to give us something that we can add in some little animation to show how it can animate in and out, and then how we can activate this while it is an overlay in Ecam Live. So let me just add something else into that. Let's add a little maybe a little tick mark. No, I haven't got anything. Little thumbs up perhaps. There we go. So I'm just putting some random stuff in here just so that you can see how we can animate this all in and out. So let's say that we want the border to fly in from the side. So I'm going to go to animate, add an effect, and we're doing a build-in effect. Let's get that out of the way. So we've just come up to the animate and then the build-in. So I'll come down here to add an effect. This little Ecam Live pop-up always seems to come up just when I don't need it to. So let's have this fly in. We'll have it fly in from the other side, from the right. There we go, or maybe slide in, that'll do. And then these ones, we'll just have these dissolve in one after another. So those ones can just dissolve. Okay, and now what we want to do is change the build order of this. So somewhere I should have a little build order tag, and obviously it's come right to the other side of the the screen. So we want these things to basically happen one after another. So I'm going to set that to after previous build. So these now, if I preview that, these should all happen one after the other, like that. And then we want to have them all build out whenever we are ready for them to build out. So then we're going to add an effect, and actually let me just bring the object viewer up. So this is, if you don't know, then you click in this little window here and click object viewer so you can see all the different objects that you've got. And I'm just going to select them all, and then I'm going to add the build out effect. Is add an effect. I'm just going to have them dissolve out. So there, they'll just dissolve out. But I do want these all to happen together. So if I bring my build order back, and then what I'll do is, so just to recap, the question was, how can we get this to appear on our screen, but then we be in control of when it's actually going to build in and build out. We don't want to have it as a pre-recorded little video, which is normally how I would do it. Just have that with the previous build. So now, hopefully, we've got these all happening one after the other. So we want to be able to activate this while we're doing our Ecam Live production, and then it's going to stay on screen for as long as we want, and then the next section is when it gets to here, it's all just going to disappear, and you could obviously have any sort of build in and build out that you wanted, but this is just to answer Michael's question that he asked me earlier. Here, if I save this now as in fact, I don't need to save it, so I'll just get straight to the business part, which is how we get that into Ecam Live. Now, when you want to play a presentation in Keynote, normally you will have this little button up here which says play, and when you click on that, it will bring it to full screen, and then you can play. And by the way, just to be absolutely clear about this, the way that we've got this set up is we've got this first one. You can see that the first action for it to build out says on click. So that is going to happen when we actually click. And now if you haven't already got one, you could use something like this, like a little presentation clicker, but you could also just use your keyboard. So it's just the up and down arrow keys, but I'll tell you about that when we actually get to it. But the point is we're going to activate this by having it as a click. And then all of these build-in scenes happen automatically. And then this next one to build out is also set to on click. So it's not going to happen until we actually click the mouse on the in Keynote. And that is how we're going to do this. It's going to actually run from within Keynote itself. So if I just move this off the screen, and then if I come into demo mode a moment, what I shall do is, first of all, I just went off my train of thought there. So yeah, we've got a play, and that would play at full scene. But what we want to do, and it's also in the top menu here, so you've got play slideshow, and that is the default one. But what we want to do is play slideshow in window. And what that will do, as you'll see when I press it, you can also add that as a menu bar button. So if you haven't already got that in your menu bar of Keynote, if you just right click in the top and go to customize toolbar, and then you'll see a whole list of them pop up, and somewhere in here we've got a one which is play in window. So where has that gone? It's somewhere. So there is play, and then this one down here says play in window, and you can just drag that up into your toolbar, so then you've got it there for next time you need it. But yeah, basically if I click in play in window, then now I have a full screen window that is basically, and as you see, if I click on that window, it's actually brought in this this overlay that we made, and then if I click on the window again, then the overlay disappears. So now what I need to do is I need to open my scan converter, so NDI scan converter, and when that one opens, what I need to do is I need to go to File and go down to Keynote and select the Keynote window. So now I've got Keynote selected in NDI, and there's the overlay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my Ecam Live. So if I come into this one, I'll come into my main scene in a minute, and now I'll share my screen. 1 second, come to demo mode. Share my screen, and now what I can do is I can add this as an overlay. So I'll come and I'll just have to unlock this, and I'm always wary when I unlock my scenes. I always get myself into problems that way. But what I'm going to do is come down to here for the camera overlay, and then it obviously defaults to my main camera. But if I change this to NDI, you can see that NDI scan converter's there because it's got that open already, and now we've got a green screen. Well, although this is sharing a screen, the point about NDI is it actually puts it into your system as a camera, so it actually is a camera. So now what I can do is I can come down to my camera effects panel, because that's what Ecam Live thinks this is, and I can toggle this on. I can change it to green screen, toggle it on, change it to green screen, and there you see it's removed all of that green, and it's put in the default background that you have with a camera when you first toggle it on. And you can obviously change the background, but we don't want any background. So what we do is we come down to here where it says transparent and switch that off. So now it looks like there's nothing there, but actually if I click into my Keynote presentation and just click the little button, then, oopsie daisy, I've just come out of it. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Let me set that up again because I've made a bit of a mess of that. Let me just try. 1 second. This is one problem with NDI scan converter, by the way, is if you actually come out of the window, sometimes it actually just forgets which window you're in. With Keynote specifically, if you've got it sort of maximized and then you come out of it, then it may come out of it. So there we go. Now you can see that I have actually got that little overlay. But what we want to do is we want to obviously make that full screen. I want it just little at the side there. So I'm going to drag that out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come back into my Keynote. So you do have to make sure when you're toggling left and right, you do have to make sure that Keynote is your active application. But I can now press my button, and that should build in. Now there's a bit of a delay on it. It's not the absolute smoothest, but that may be down to my computer rather than the actual application itself, because I am pretty maxed out with my technically obsolete machine. So I hope that does answer the question that Michael had. I know he didn't drop it in the chat, but he'd messaged me earlier about it. So I just thought I would add that in because it is, as you can see, quite easy to do. And I'll just give you another quick demo. That is how we can add in that animated overlay using Keynote and just bring it in as an NDI source. So if anybody has any other questions about any of my my other videos or anything that they're having issues with either Ecam Live or anything that you think that I may be able to help you with, then please feel free to drop them in the comments, because it was a bit of a short one today in terms of the content that I had to cover, which was basically where I spend my time. And since I don't spend a lot of time on it, it was quite a quick subject to to cover. So that is about all I've got to say about it. Well, if there are no comments, thank you. I think there's a bit of a delay on my comments because I just noticed it come up on the iPad. But thanks, Eileen. That's much appreciated, especially coming from you, because I know you do great demos as well. So with that, if there are no more questions, I'm all out of things to say. I will get on with making my other videos all about all of the other different ways that you can bring Keynote slides into Ecam Live. And yeah, with that, I look forward to seeing you in my next live stream, if any of you can make it. So that will be, actually, speaking of which, that is next week at the same time. And it is all about basically the first 50 days that I've been on YouTube. So at the moment, as I say, I'm up to, this is my 43rd day on YouTube, and I've made 48 videos. And next week will be my, oh, that's great, Michael. I'm pleased to hear that. As I say, Michael, I'll do a the other video. It should be a lot clearer from the other video as well. I'll go into a lot more depth with all the other different ways that you can do it. But if you've got any other questions before I go, then please feel free to drop them in. Thanks, Eileen. I will indeed see you in class tomorrow. Looking forward to it. It's one of my favourite parts of the day, that is. And also, speaking of which, I think Michael might be joining us tomorrow as well in office hours. So that would be great to see you there, Michael, as well. So yeah, my live stream next week is basically 50 days on YouTube and 50 videos. So I think I'm probably going to hit that target. I actually scheduled that live stream 2 weeks ago, something like that. So I thought maybe I was a bit trigger happy on releasing the date for that one, because in case I didn't actually make the 50 videos by then. But as it turns out, it looks like I will have made it. So yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you there as well. Well, that's all for me today. I'm going to sign off. It's been quite a quick one. Last time was 2.5 hours, I think, something like that. So anyway, look forward to seeing you all again soon. And if you've liked this live stream after the fact, I know I've got some likes already from the people who are on, but if you've liked this video and found it useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe for those who aren't watching on the replay. And in the meantime, I will leave my outro screen just for people watching afterwards, and I'll have to go back in and actually add these end cards, so I'll be sure to do that, and I'll have to try and catch up with all the other things that I've let slip somewhat in my YouTube management. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and as always, wishing you an absolutely wonderful day.